Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Hal joining us. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Welcome. Sorry to keep you
Good,
waiting.
man.
I got ahead of myself because we this Nutlick video of him being grilled, and where he is just tap dancing on hot coals, baby.
Oh man. Um, it's majestic to behold. I'm absolute I mean, should I be surprised at this point?
No,
But I still am.
right. I totally get it. I mean, I like in some of these, I don't expect I can cringe anymore, but a couple of them are like so egregiously bad at this. Now, are we going to see a rush of faux dementia by a bunch of these guys? Like as much as he keeps saying, like the best of my recollection, and as much as I don't really recall. Everybody turns into Reagan at moments like this. Well, I don't recall, back in the day, right? And then
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's going to jump on that Trump tapioca brain uh,
Oh,
cascade.
yeah. I mean, at least legally we know that won't fly. So hopefully if they were dumb enough to try that, the prosecution would that would never fly legally speaking. By the way, my last name is James, just for
Oh, sorry. Did I
due
put?
diligence.
I beg your pardon. That's wrong. Hold on.
That's all right.
My bad. That I didn't finish typing in my little thing. Think. Hold on. I will fix that. I will remedy that immediately. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. Now it's better. Yes. I
Yeah.
usually just put Doc Adam in there, so I started typing the doc, and then I X'd it, and then this is what happens when I hurry. Okay, so couple of things. Did you watch? I'm sure. I mean, maybe not. Did you watch the Super Bowl interview with Trump?
No, I haven't seen the interview.
Mm, mm, my brother. First of all, he brings up. I'll see if I can bring up the actual moment. It's pretty spectacular, where he
Yeah.
can't remember New Orleans, and it takes him a minute, and you can see him struggling. He's like these different. It's like when he called like the world a region, right? And it's so all over the place. And he's you
Yeah.
could tell he's just defaulting to like standard talking points.
Mm-hmm. That's all
Um,
I can do.
Yeah, and so is that a thing too? Like when you and for those of you who don't know, Adam James, everybody is a are you a geriatric medicine specialist, an end of life caregiver, almost like an end of life coach? It seems for people who are experiencing, what they have a parent who's on the in the landing path, as it were,
Yeah.
and you help them guide them to the ground as gently as possible considering the circumstances. um
Yeah, I'm a physical therapist and I work in home health care. So all of my patients are 65 and above, and we routinely have to refer people to the hospice side of our agency because it's end of life.
right. So do you see in them things where they'll repeat things that they've said hundreds of times,
Mhm.
as a way of almost like solving for the issue that they have, of they know they don't have a grasp on what they're doing or what they're trying to say. So one of the ways
Mhm.
they do is default back to old stories and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, certainly. So the long-term memory stays intact, much more so than short-term memory. So if they get confused or lose their place with what they're saying, they're going to reach for something that's comfortable and familiar, which is why he got up to go look at the ballroom in the middle of the meeting with the
Right.
oil CEOs. He
Yeah.
loves his ballroom. It's his adult coloring book that they handed to a dementia patient to keep him from getting too agitated and say something along
Yeah.
the lines of, the Epstein files are true, but I don't care.
Yeah, isn't this pretty? Also, they let him remodel a bathroom, and he's just totally fixated on just the marble of it. And I got to tell you, for a guy that has to be hosed down by his body man whenever he shits his pants, a marble bathroom is a pretty good design. I'm just saying, from a practical standpoint, that if you're trying to
uh,
if you want something that's easy to clean up afterwards, basically a giant shower stall with a drain in the middle of it.
I didn't think about that. Oh,
I
that's
wish
brilliant.
I didn't have to.
Oh, right,
But
right, right. Of
yeah.
course.
So
Mm.
I'll show you the bathroom. He posted on, I guess, their Instagram, like dozens of pictures of this whole thing. Hold on. Oh yeah, I
Was
the
it the
problem is
White House Instagram?
I believe so. Yeah.
You're kidding.
No. Yeah. Trump bathroom renovation.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Lincoln bathroom renovations. He does this thing where, like, and he posted the shit out of this. Let me show you it right here. Just endless fucking pictures of this in his on his feet. This is the thing, the hideous remodel. Like they posted so many. There he is. There's his post. The soap dish with the presidential seal in it, which seems sacrilegious, and like the built-in marble
Yeah.
shelves and all this kind of stuff. And again, like I said, if you have to hose somebody down, there's a little gold bucket in the corner. Other than that, and the world's smallest bathroom mirror. Let me tell you something. If Melania is designing a bathroom, that mirror is going to be wall to wall, floor to
Oh yeah,
ceiling. What
sure.
this is? Look at this little thing. Like this explains why he has an orange face from here forward.
That's right.
My dad, bless his heart, was not only a great musician but a great architect. And he designed and built his own home, and it's fantastic. And one of the
Oh,
things he did in the bathrooms was that there are three cabinets in the bathrooms that are mirrored, and the two cabinets on the outside open opposite. So one opens left to right, one opens right to left, and when you pull them in, you get this kind of like dressing room look at your head. You can fully see,
oh,
check your hair like for
how
guests and
clever.
stuff. Yeah, he did that in all the bathrooms. There's only three, but they're like that have things that the cabinets in them, and
Yeah,
it's so simple and yet so well thought out, and it's clearly
sure.
from my dad is nearly as vain as was nearly as vain as I am, and and I always greatly appreciated it when I was there, and so this is like this is a man who does not want to see his face. This is how like this is a man who doesn't like his reflection. This is a decision
Yeah.
made by somebody who's like, ugh. Um, Speaking of
He's
ugh,
got to have a different mirror to see his, his outfit and, see more of what he actually looks like.
I don't know. I think he checks with Walt now. Would you want to look at that? Like, I mean, he's put his pants on backwards a couple of times. So I don't know
Ugh,
how much he's checking shit before he leaves. It's a uniform at this point. I also
yeah.
found interestingly enough, online, a dump. Somebody had gotten a hold of Jeffrey Epstein's cloud.
Oh man.
And so I will be going through this in the very near future. There's some things that are redacted. So somebody went through the process of like removing girls' faces and stuff like that from
Hmm.
it. But later on, but there are 7,000 photos in this, and photocopies of documents and that kind of stuff or whatever, which is just incredible. I don't
Good
know if
grief.
you've yeah. Les Wexner, speaking of another like aging monster, is going to
Oh
be
man.
sitting down in front of Congress soon.
Really?
Yes, well,
When
he's
did
gonna
they issue that subpoena?
over a week ago, but he's scheduled for being up in a couple weeks.
Brother, they knew he was in there and he
Oh
knows
yeah,
he's in there.
yeah, of course. I mean, he gave him the building. Yeah, see, these are the redacted ones. They gave him
Okay.
the building. He gave Epstein that apartment for $1 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Epstein and Wexner had an intimate relationship. I think that's how it started. And they broke things off, quote unquote. Like Wexner would say, and some press conference he was at where he talked about this was years. I don't know if this was
yeah.
before Epstein was charged the first time, but they had a really big falling out, and I think it was because their like romantic relationship deteriorated. But like that tracks with the narcissistic, psychopathic, coercive control
Mm-hmm.
personality types.
Yep.
Like they don't have like a sex life per se. They have absolutely no sexual boundaries because they only
Right.
engage in it to create a power dynamic over another person. Like it's not
Right.
it's not even like a enjoyable thing. It's just a tool they use to control people. And I know that that's what Epstein was doing toward
Yeah.
Wexner. Wexner was probably I don't know. He probably figured out that he's not the teacher and Epstein the student.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why he tried to create distance. But he was in too deep at that point.
I
He's
think a lot of
screwed.
people, though, I don't think anybody gets points for ditching him when the heat was on. And that's what Trump has right now. Trump, in reality, he was like, they put this bullshit fake report from the dead police officer in the FBI package from 2020. That new report that supposedly came out that Trump called the police on Epstein. Basically, he dry snitched on him at one point. You call the cops on somebody, go, oh yeah, you got to check these fuckers out. They're terrible, because he was going to be subpoenaed and he knew it. So rather than be subpoenaed, rather than come in for an actual deposition, you volunteer. You volunteer what information you have. And you go, that's really all I got, and they will leave you alone unless you're a material witness. So if the heat's on, you just fucking call and go, this dude's a fucking, I got to talk to the chief of police. You got to bust this motherfucker. And then which is what he did, allegedly in this document. And then he calls Epstein right after and goes, hey man, the heat's on. You better dump all those videos or hide them sompace. And that's
Oh,
effectively
brother.
what happened. So
Yeah.
and all of this stuff, like this, obviously this document was slipped in there that the FBI had interviewed this guy who's no longer with us. And he said this call happened. There's no call log of it at all. There's no evidence 20 years ago that Trump called the cops and said any of this shit. So this is them backfilling the story. The reality is I don't know if Trump at any point, like, I at some point, do you start to believe your own lie, or do you just know there's a no-go zone in your brain? Like, I don't want to look there anymore.
It's a common. At that point, it was a combination of both. I know his FTD symptoms had already started.
Right.
But he'll do whatever it takes to win. He has.
Yeah.
What was that? It's a journalist that they were emailing with. I did a video on this
Michael Wolff?
2 days ago. No, it wasn't Wolf. It was shucks. Starts with a T. He's a financial reporter for was it New York Times?
Okay.
But he was talking with Epstein about Trump, and he said, being effectively shameless can be a powerful tool when you're the president. Like they understood, like, this guy, he doesn't care, like, as long as he wins, he doesn't care if it makes him look suspicious or anything.
Right. Well, I also think he knows in some of these areas that he's running out of runway. And I'll show you this. I'll show you this little piece. This is his. Is this the water one? I think right here, where he goes off on the. We do thousands of arrests, drug dealers, thousands, and then he goes into the water.
I mean, we had drug kingpins, we had murderers, thousands, no incident. We bring them back to their country. 2 people. It's bad. I hate it. I hate even talking about it.
Look
2 people out of tens of thousands, okay? And you get bad publicity.
Jesus Christ, you get bad publicity. First of all, it's not 2. You didn't kill 2 out of the 10,000 drug dealers you're taking. These were American citizens. These are 2 right.
Nobody talks about all of the murderers that were taken out of our country. They don't.
Just the ones that are working for you, I guess.
Don't talk about.
But it was 2 Americans.
They don't talk
who died,
about. We have the smallest trucks. As an example.
They don't talk about how we have the smallest trucks.
Talk about.
But it was 2 Americans.
They don't talk
who died,
about. We have the smallest trucks. As an example, we've been very tough on the waters, and soon, pretty much overall.
They don't talk about how we have the smallest trucks and how tough we've been on the water, and pretty soon overall. Which what he means is blowing up boats in the ocean, and then he's going to attack the land. But he can't form that thought in a coherent way. He can't put that thought together, and it's an important talking point. It'd be one thing if it was like you and I are like, there's so much shit in the Epstein files that sometimes I'm like, wait, what was that guy again? Which guy was that? Because I don't give a shit about these people. I don't want to, but I'm paying attention to this stuff, and it drops into you're like, oh, that was Tom Barack or somebody like that he was talking to.
Yeah.
But in this is Trump is there to sell, and he's the greatest salesman ever, and that's the story, right? And he can't get his own sales pitch right, and so he defaults to these muscle memory moments, and it's bad.
But if you look at
Yeah, yeah, the waters.
If you look at the waters where we knock out boats, each boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. We're doing a job like nobody's ever seen before.
Like, oh God. All right.
And you hear Tom after he goes, the waters? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, the water. And he goes,
The-
oh.
You mean the ocean? That's a lot of
Are we-
water.
Yeah. Do you mean
Yeah.
what you call the drug boats, sir?
Right. And so he goes, I want to see this. He goes, I mean, he's all over the fucking map. He does this whole story about how they were going to pay $1,775 to the soldiers. And he said, why don't you just add one more dollar and it's 1776? Like that was his fucking idea. Like they were ever going to give 1,775. I'm not kidding. He says that. He goes,
I got to watch this
Our
whole
military.
thing.
watch this part.
Nobody takes care of the military like I do.
Yeah.
So
By adding a dollar, apparently.
$1,775. And I said, wait a minute, if you had $1, it's 1776. You know that's quite a famous date,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So anyway, wait, so I gave
Year.
1,776 to our military, and they are very thankful.
And they are very thankful.
They are-
I've heard from every one of them.
Yes,
All of
very
them are
respected
thankful.
people. They're all
Yes,
very
they
thankful.
all voted
whenever-
for me.
Yes,
Didn't
they're
you
all
hear?
they're all spending it on expensive groceries, which are way cheaper. And then
Oh
he
my
goes, and then the other part of this is his bit about going to, because they jump all over the place, but he goes to crime in, I mean, I can't even find it by finding New Orleans because it's not even in there. But he's like, we're trying to solve crime everywhere. Oh, here it is. Wait, is this it?
You can search that transcript.
Yeah, it's I don't know where is it on the side of here because of my full image, whatever. The transcript in the bottom, yeah, I don't see. But shows the transcript. The situation, like he has this they ask him if he's going to support the elections. He says if they're honest, which is again less concerning to me because it just sounds like the same shit he always says.
Yeah.
And and why is Tulsi Gabbard there? He says it's international cheating.
It's so stupid. What do you mean? You mean like Russia?
Yeah, that's kind of what he accidentally means.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but you know, a lot of the cheating comes from it's international cheating. You have people, they say, from China
You put this on
let me ask
Truth
you,
Social.
do you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in
Well,
this country,
therefore,
but
she's foreign governments.
But you-
She's foreign governments.
What does that mean?
What
What does that mean? Why would you say you don't know?
Yeah,
What do you mean you don't know?
right. I don't know why
You're
she's
in
there.
charge.
Yes, exactly. You sent her there.
That's right. She called the president personally
Yes,
on speakerphone with agents present
yes.
to
And
have
she-
like a conversation to kind of confirm. I think they planned to do that just in case he forgot. You know what I'm saying? Like why would she call him personally? Like she doesn't have to.
Right.
He says, I don't know what she's doing. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
I think he forgets stuff. He forgets stuff in real time and they just adjust after the fact. I think that's how they play it.
I do think that the reporter in this does a fairly good job of like hitting back on a couple of points, but there are a couple of points where, and I don't know if this is a technique where you guide people in where you want to from a reporter standpoint, because Michael Wolff does this very well. Like it's he pretends to be your friend. It's the same thing that Woodward did. It's how he got so much access. And he had all this stuff, and he would keep some secrets, but he tells you, yeah, this isn't a problem. Why would you think this is a problem? And people you become their shrink effectively, and they start just like
Is that why Wolf's emails with Epstein feel the way they do?
Yeah, because he was doing
it's a little creepy.
It's
like
very creepy.
Michael, it feels as if Michael is friends with them, but I'm like, no, he's embedding himself to get the narrative right.
Yeah, because he got all that stuff, and he's also goading. It's almost like he's doing it to get at Trump specifically, because at the point where Epstein was in jail, or they were talking when he was being, the indictment was coming down, there's the stuff with Wolff where he's like, you could go after him, you're the guy who could bring him down, and Bannon says that as well. So he's concerned about it. Everybody knew that he was the guy who had the most information about it. But I do think that that's part of the gig in that kind of writing, because Wolf talks, he manages to get people inside the White House to tell them all
Doesn't he?
kinds of shit.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And
I
they
saw the
just,
video he did where he talked about the, White House aides were saying, presidential aides were saying, yeah, it's like he's off his meds. And I'm like, how the hell did you get somebody to tell you that?
yes, right. And it's because they think they can trust you, or that they feel like you're
Yes,
or that they
they
can bend
must.
your ear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes on about cheating on elections. That's a big part. Like, he just keeps coming back to they cheat on
Yeah.
elections and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago. We have these massive investigations going on into fraud. They talk about 5 cities he's going to go into, and he doesn't remember which ones they are. And so at one point he asks him, and that's the part I'm looking for in the transcript, but he goes, what are the other 5 cities, so people can kind of have a heads up that you might be coming? Well, we'll announce that very soon. He has no idea. Because 3 of them they've already gone to.
Yeah. We got to see what Nick Shirley's schedule is like. And then.
Right. And he goes, this is the other thing. I inherited the worst inflation, which is not true. I inherited the worst crime, which is also not true. I inherited high prices. He goes on about eggs, that kind of shit, even though that was swine flu. Oh, God. I
Which
wish
they
there was
did nothing about.
nothing. Yeah. But at one point he asks him, and like I said, it would be nice if it was in chapters, because it's all over the fucking place. But he basically just says to him, like, you're dealing with crime and all this stuff, and is there a, like, many states, coffee is down, lowest crime, blah blah blah. Just the same blather.
Not.
No, it isn't. Yeah, not by any stretch.
Can you are you on a Windows machine or a Mac?
Mac, yeah.
I think you can Command F and
Yeah,
search
let's
in that
see.
transcript.
Let's see.
Hey, baby.
Command F. Hey, baby.
You
What's
okay?
that? Okay, I'll go into.
You all right? Okay.
New Orleans. Yeah.
Sorry, that was my daughter.
Absolutely. Family's important. So there we go. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Here you go. You look at Washington D.C. It's like a safe city. Yeah. So he goes, why are you pulling out? He goes, there's been some 2 Americans being killed. Now they're pulling out some officers from Minneapolis. I think this is the beginning of where he talks about it.
And now you're pulling out some officers from Minneapolis. Are there more changes coming?
Well, the reason we're pulling out, because we've done a great job there. We have crime down there, despite tremendous blowback from a governor that's incompetent and from a mayor who's just, I don't know what the hell, where he comes from, but
It's not the murders.
the numbers,
Yeah.
the crime numbers in Minnesota, in Minneapolis in particular, are down 25, 30%.
Which, by the way, his people don't even they don't do law enforcement. He didn't send the FBI in. This is
Because we've removed thousands of criminals from the area. These are hardened criminals that came in, many of them, most of them came in through an open border, and we've done a great job. But look at Washington, D.C. It's like a safe city. You can walk to the White House. You didn't have to take an armored vehicle. You could walk. Washington safe. Look at what happened in Louisiana. I got a call from the governor. Right. Please do something with New Orleans. We went there 4 weeks ago. Crime is down 71%. Memphis, Tennessee, crime is down 8%.
Okay, so this is after. So let me look up Louisiana, because this is after he's already said it. That's why he comes back to it. Yeah. Yeah. Right there. They came in. There was a very difficult place in their area. Yeah. Fuck. Where is it? Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. Anyways, 1 of 3 matches. There you go. So I don't know how to. I'll scroll through. Yeah. Here you go. I got a call from Jeff Landry. That's it. So this is after he already said it. This is that part. You'll see, and this is after.
Since I got a call from Jeff Landry, governor of Louisiana, he said, we have a big problem. Could you go in and help us with well, let's see, certain sections. I mean, to be honest with you, certain sections of the state, beyond their famous, beautiful city, certain sections of the state. We have done, not only in New Orleans, we've done.
There you go. Now, so like you could tell, like he is just fucking hunting for that word. And he's like, with the place, the place that, All right. So now,
with the crawdads and
That's right.
Jazz
Yeah,
music.
yeah, exactly. With the Wiccan graveyard and the
The
witch
Mardi Gras.
potions.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right. Yeah. So this is like, I mean, it's classic, Trump fade, but he is so A's keyed up. So when they do things like this is a Super Bowl of interviews for him too. So he's clearly gacked up on his regular regimen of Adderall or whatever it is. And
Mhm.
he
Yep.
looks like it's a perfect Super Bowl one because he looks like he's about to receive a snap the entire interview. He's leaning forward with his hands
Yep.
forward like this, like, give me a second, give me a second, give me a second, give me a second. Like, hut, hut,
Yeah.
hut. Yeah.
Uh-huh. He's used to using his body language to compensate for
Mhm.
a cognitive deficit. That's what he's doing. It's the same thing, similar to him doing the over firm handshake, and he would refuse to let go, all these,
Right.
used car salesman tactics that he loves to employ.
He also called, he said he had a cognitive physical during that.
That's not a thing. We don't call it that.
Yeah, exactly. That there's no such thing as a cognitive physical. So let me
Yeah.
look that one up too. That one's magic. That's when they're just like walking around the Oval Office because I guess he got tired of
Right.
Yeah. So here you go. It's crazy. This is them asking him about his mental acuity. This is right. Okay, so statistically, it's a very dangerous job. This is the whole thing, like, because 2 out of 48 have been killed, and a couple of them have been
God.
wounded. Right. So he thinks he's a daredevil now.
Statistically, this is a much more dangerous job than being a race car driver or riding those Broncos. Those bulls are tough, right? But I wouldn't want to do.
No, I got to tell you, I'd much rather be president.
don't.
I don't think the Secret Service protects these guys on their way to the ground or as they're getting a hoof up their ass.
That, but statistically, being president is the most dangerous job there is.
We first met 10 years ago when you were
No, it's not.
running the first time. How do you feel now as you approach 80?
I feel great. I mean, physically and mentally, I feel like I did 50 years ago. It's crazy. Now, there'll be a time when I won't be able to give you that answer, but that time hasn't come, I do. I think it's very important. I've done more physicals. I take physicals just to give the report out.
Yeah.
I take cognitive physicals. So I do a cognitive mind test, okay? And a lot of people wouldn't be able to do very well. Not easy,
It's not easy just calling it what it fucking is. Because all right. So tell everybody about the test that he's talking about, the one that he actually takes.
Yeah. So he's referring to what's known as the MOCA for short.
Mhm.
It's an acronym that stands for the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, and it tracks the progress of it. It's used to as a part of a full workup to diagnose dementia, but also to track its progress. And he's made a massive mistake by talking about having the test to begin with, but also that he's had 3 of them.
Yeah.
And a colleague of mine who is a speech therapist, her name is Hillary. Her handle is concussiontalks.slp on TikTok, Instagram, all the platforms.
Right.
She brought up a great point. She and I did a live stream the other night where we took questions. She mentioned you don't give the MOCA to find it. The MOCA is not designed to discover small changes because it's a 30-point scale. And so if he's had it multiple times, it's because he has done or said things that has led the medical staff around him to think this guy is in trouble.
Yeah.
That's what it means. So he's absolutely screwed the pooch by ever mentioning it to begin with, let alone that he's had 3 of them.
I want you to know I have a great brain. I could take this. That's lying. That is Mitch McConnell. Rhino. Anybody? Rhino. I could joke about, and that's Bumpy Horse. So that is scoliosis Max, who won the Triple Crown. That's the horse my
Diane
friend
Feinstein.
That's right. That's the horse that MBS rides. And also, you could make these into a box, but why bother? I prefer the weave. I'll just draw lines all over the place. But it's memory, attention. This is a very blurry one. I beg your pardon. So
Mm-hmm.
recall, language, obviously things he has massive problems with.
Yeah.
I gotta say, there's an end. There's He's running out of runway on a lot of these things, and the more we
Mm-hmm.
watch it, like especially in these high pressure situations, it takes him a couple of days to recover. When he said
Right.
the other day he fell asleep during the meeting. He's like, there. Not only did he say they caught me in a blink, but they're boring. So
Mm-hmm.
he's basically throwing out whatever works. That's
Yeah,
been like how he's done most things
that's right.
to cover for himself.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that he's done more physicals than any other president, that's not good. That's you.
No,
You can't have more than one annual physical. That's what the
you
name
can't.
means.
That's what
Annual,
annual means, ladies and
right?
gentlemen.
And
Like, share, and subscribe.
yeah, yeah, cognitive physical. That's my,
I take cognitive physicals. So
that is, that,
As soon as you say that, I know that you need a mocha.
right, exactly. And
Yeah.
especially if you think it was that you aced it.
The way he describes it, he thinks it's an aptitude test.
Right.
And every other professional who deals with patients with cognitive deficits, every one of us was like, what in the fuck?
Well,
What do you mean?
Well, is it that's what his people tell him?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of his people hiding the truth from him. I think they insulate him. They don't tell him. They were used to doing that before. Like I
Right.
remember hearing I read recently Kayleigh McEnany, she after the 2020 election, he was all about the election was stolen. She avoided him physically inside the White House because she
Right.
did not want to come up upon him and have him ask her, hey, why haven't you come out with, why would you said this at the press briefing? Because he literally wanted her to violate the Hatch Act
Right.
with what he was telling her to do. So all she could do, she didn't want to resign because she's a piece of shit. And so, you know, she just avoids him physically. So they were already doing that to a degree. Like he's, you know, he's an absolute disaster policy wise, governing wise. Like he has no intention of doing any of that. But then you throw on top, like, you know, the obvious dementia symptoms. You know, they got a rotation of the White House aides that have a rotation overnight on long international flights on Air Force One. They can sit up with him overnight. That's basically a memory care patient.
Yeah.
Like, so they tell him what he needs. Like that. I remember when he mentioned his voice was very raspy at a press conference. And they, of course, they asked him, well, your voice sounds, you know, very raspy today. He said, well, I blew my top on the phone. And I'm like, that just feels like demented agitation.
Yeah.
Like his demented agitation got to the point where he starts screaming, and that's the reason his voice sounded like that, if he's telling the truth about that. But yeah, they try to keep him from getting agitated. Like again, the ballroom's a coloring book. They want to give him something to focus on that will keep him from getting agitated. And the way he talks about, like, what was the press conference he did for the Republicans in Congress? And he's like, can somebody explain to me how, you know, we could lose the midterms? Like, what does that even mean? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you guys have failed policy-wise at every single turn. What do you mean you're confused about, you know, why your poll numbers would be so bad? Of course they are.
And then he said,
hold on. Yeah, I want to show you one other. You know.
and then he said, sir, if you
Oh, shut up. Hold on. So he has. Explain to everybody how important sleep is to your cognitive.
Yeah.
To your being cognitive, especially when you're old and not so cognitive.
Yep. So when we sleep, our brain actually repairs it or recharges itself, resets itself. For example, obstructive sleep apnea, which many people suffer with. For the people that get diagnosed with it and they get a CPAP and they're able to tolerate, you know, the mask or the nasal attachment, whatever, it is a game changer for their life overall.
Yeah.
Because they've been existing on a minimum of sleep. And it's not just, you know, the time off your feet or whatever. there are things that happen physiologically when we sleep that have to happen. You have to allow your brain to come offline and recover from what it's done the day before. Your oxygen saturation naturally goes down as you sleep. Your breathing becomes much slower, and obviously it's not supposed to stop. And so when you have obstructive sleep apnea, the reason the CPAP is a game changer is because now your brain can properly oxygenate while you're sleeping. So if you simply deny your brain sleep, you're going to run. I mean, every function of your brain is going to start to decline. And this is the trouble with sundowning.
Yeah.
Your brain now, the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the hypothalamus, where the master clock of the brain is stored, it starts to degrade.
All right, you win the big words competition for the day. Fine.
Your upper dorsum is connected to the dolphinus.
Latissimus, which is why I can only work my guns at the office. Yep.
Oh, but I should mention, I watched Inglourious Bastards the other night.
Oh, yeah.
At your recommendation. Yeah, so good.
The
Killing Nazis.
Yeah, yeah. And I will have my scalps. The open. Am I right about the opening scene though? Some of like a piece of the greatest like tense cinema in decades. Like almost watching a movie from the 70s all by itself. Like that opening scene.
You weren't lying about how incredible that first sequence is.
Oh.
Like the vibe of
Christoph Waltz and the guy who played the Nazi. But
also the farmer,
French
the
farmer,
dairy farmer,
yeah,
brother. I mean, excellent casting.
Oh my God, perfect.
Just really well done. And it was. There's other Tarantino movies that are super chaotic, and that is the spectacle. Like Django, it's much more, shoot 'em up, whatever. The D is silent, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But those sequences, dude, and the interrogation with the actress's name, just it's really incredibly done.
Yeah. The one over the pastry with cream. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
When he talks to her separately and she breaks down in tears right after it happens because she's holding it all in the whole time. So goddamn good. It's so goddamn good. So
good.
So and I will have my scalps. Killing Nazis. Right.
Now that I cannot abide.
That I cannot abide. Yeah, that's right. I suppose you're going to take off that nice Nazi uniform, ain't you? Yes. That I cannot abide. Oh, so good. So fucking good. Ooh, that's a bingo. Anyways, that's all right. Christoph Waltz is a genius. I met him once at a restaurant waiting to do an event, and I got to sit with him and kind of chat or whatever. Very quiet dude. And I felt like you get around some actors, I felt studied. He was he was cataloging personality and character traits. Like that some actors can't stop doing that. They're always in observation mode, and you're looking at people, especially if they're gregarious or they have a specific mannerism or a specific attitude, and I certainly do. And and I was like, this motherfucker is scanning me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But
let me show you this, because we were talking about the importance of sleep. So I kept you up as the other night, is what you're saying. You watched the movie late, and I kept you up late, I guess. But in terms of sleep, the value of it, I think everybody knows, especially now. And there's never been more conversation about it. I don't think that we've ever been at a point in like since maybe the 30s when you get little booklets about things. Are people aware that you need proper sleep? You need a certain amount of sleep. You need REM sleep. You need theta. We're more aware of it now as a populace than ever. So having a president that brags that he never fucking sleeps is not good. Most people that are thinking it through are like, dude, that's bad. Take a fucking nap. Your decisions are going to suck. No wonder you're snapping at people. No wonder you can't comprehend shit. Even if you were healthy and you're not getting that kind of sleep. And most presidents don't. I'm sure most presidents are, one of the reasons they age so fast in the office is because they have to be light sleepers. That 3 a.m. phone call, right, which is, which Trump thought was politicians calling him at this very same event I'm about to show you. This is him at the National Prayer Breakfast talking about sleeping on airplanes.
And then he said, sir, if you'd like, you can go and sleep. You know, it's a 20-hour trip. If you'd like, you can go and sleep. We have quarters prepared for you. I said, no, I don't have to sleep. I've been on a plane sleeping for 20, I mean, I'm sleeping the plane. I don't sleep on planes. I don't like sleeping on planes, you know. I like looking out the window watching for missiles and enemies, actually.
Yeah. What?
What are you, 9?
What? Right, exactly. I wish at least a 9-year-old would have better ethics, but like, think about that right there. Like, first of all, he admits to sleeping for 20 hours. Like, they knocked him the fuck out. Like, they Ambien him, or they gave him, you know, like Haldol and Ambien, and just like pulled a George H.W. and just had him sleep the entire flight, right? So he could switch over. Which, again, like, it's not uncommon for a president to have modafinil or armodafinil, which is for sleep shift disorder, or Ambien when they're going back and forth from Europe to the United States, because they have to adjust their sleep schedule instantly, right? And again, that's something a young, healthy person can do. It's not something you would recommend for somebody who's old. They just need a fucking day off or 2.
That's right.
But so they clearly knocked him the fuck out. They were like, hey, you know, Mr. President, here's your meds for the night or whatever. Why don't you just go in there? And he just woke up in Afghanistan. Right? And he comes off and they're like, you can sleep if you want to. And he's like, I've been sleeping for 20. I mean, I don't sleep. I mean, I don't actually sleep. I say,
yeah. He let it slip there, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And then the whole thing, like, I'm looking out the windows for missiles and enemies, and everybody laughs. I don't think he's joking.
That's sundowning paranoia. Paranoia is part of sundowning symptoms. You can't. They become more agitated, paranoid, and difficult to direct. So yeah, I would give him a trazodone also.
What is that? Is that what Ambien is? Is a trazodone like a knockout?
I can't remember if that's the shelf name or not, but trazodone, I see it all over the place with my patients, especially older folks who are having trouble sleeping. And you know, it can be like the lowest dose, and just one of them just at night to help sleep is fantastic.
Right. So let me see if I can find the one of him saying on sleeping during the meetings. This is.
We are going to ask a couple of people to say a few words, and we're not going to go through the whole table, because the last time we had a press conference, it lasted for 3 hours, and some people said he closed his eyes. Look, it got pretty boring. In all fairness,
he's not joking. Look at his eyes.
No,
he doesn't think that's a joke. He's complaining.
I love these people. But there's a lot of people. It was a little bit on the boring side. But I didn't sleep. I just closed them because I wanted to get the hell out of here. Some of them, I didn't sleep, by the way. I don't sleep much, let me tell you. But you know, it's funny. Some of them got me in a blink. You know, when you go like. And they took me at the closed segment of my cycle. And they said he's sleeping. And besides that, Marco, between these two guys, if I was sleeping, they'd be waking me up very fast. They'd be knocking me. Come on, you got to wake up, boss. But no, we've had great meetings. Look, we're the most transparent.
Yeah. So, anyways, first of all, it's like a cabinet meeting is not a press conference. It isn't. No. You're supposed to have you're meeting with your cabinet. And the idea of having a cabinet meeting with everybody is weird anyways, from a logistical and just a CEO standpoint.
Yeah. They only do this to glaze him.
Yes.
This was never standard procedure anyway.
No. And you might have one big cabinet meeting if there was a big event that brought everybody together, like COVID, for example, or something like that.
Yeah.
But the idea that you would have this meeting and just basically that, like, he needs a congratulatory set, and then he even got bored with the congratulations. Like you could tell that's what he was like. Listening to these people.
That's literally all they're doing.
Right.
Kristi Noem thanked him for keeping the hurricanes away a couple months ago.
Yeah. And he probably believes it. We're you know, next week or something go. I kept the hurricanes away. You're welcome, Florida. Also Louisiana.
Do you remember when? Gosh, I can't remember if he was campaigning or not. But it was when Panera Bread was selling that crazy energy drink lemonade.
Oh, yeah,
and a couple of people went to the hospital. I think somebody died.
Yes.
Because it was so full of caffeine. And Trump went, now the lemonade is killing people under Biden. My favorite thing he's ever said. I
We're
was
gonna
like,
bring
what?
back lemonade. We're gonna bring it back. Merry Christmas, lemonade. You're back. You're not killing anybody anymore. The lemonade is
The
deadly.
lemonade is
Right.
killing people under Biden. I just love how he tied it directly to Biden. I
Well,
just like, that's hysterical.
That's something all of his people do, though. I covered this on the show a lot.
Yeah.
But there's something his people do is that whenever they don't like something that was done under Biden, Biden did it. If Trump does something they don't like, the government did it. The feds did it. It's always deflecting from him. That's just part of how they operate, right? But this is, as his most recent interview, and the one that's supposed to be the slam dunk, it was a mess. Like I'm curious. I feel like everybody should subscribe to Adam's channel, but also this might be one that's worth a long form breakdown because it's clear. I don't know when they cut to get up and walk around the room. So they're there, and then they at some point he's just like over it. So they just get up and do a walk around, and they do this sometimes with presidents. That's not the weird part, but that
that wasn't scripted. They didn't intend to do that.
Well, no, you could see the crew over here. He got up at some point, more than likely, and wanted to show them the Declaration of Independence. So they just rolled with it and shot it. But the whole fucking crew is standing over here like a bunch of dipshits going, "The fuck is he going?" And they just cut that part of it out.
Almost no pictures up.
Yeah.
And these pictures all came from the vaults.
Yeah.
And
when he came into the Oval Office, there were almost no pictures up. You're like, yeah, because the last guy moved out. They leave it empty for you, you asshole.
they're magnificent. I mean, I think they're magnificent and all, first run, top of the line stuff.
Look at
but
Tom's
mostly
face.
First run. The fucking Declaration of Independence is a first run. He's got. Is that
what he said?
Yes, they're all first run, top of the line.
Presidents, we have a couple with Ben Franklin, but I think he qualifies, right? Ben Franklin's pretty good.
Is there any one you ever kind of hone in on where you're thinking deeply about anything, about an issue? Is there one you look at?
Maybe all of them. They're so
That's the other cover. Like, don't pin me down because I don't know.
different. George Washington.
What's your favorite Bible
and
verse,
you have,
sir?
Jefferson, and I took Ronald Reagan in, gave him a place of honor also. Did a great job. But Honest Abe Lincoln.
Who do you have up here? I mean, these are big ones
That's
here.
Edit.
Ulysses S. Grant, George Washington. Here we have the famous.
The names are right under the pictures, by the way.
Come on over here.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're on the frame.
Here we have Declaration of Independence. That's one of the three. This was in the vaults for many years, and I said, it's time to take it out of the vaults.
Do you think at one point people will talk about you when they talk about presidents like Washington and Lincoln? Is that something you think is going to happen?
All I know is this, it's such an honor, but all I know, I'm walking down, and everyone's screaming, "Goat, goat." I said, what are they talking about? I hope they're right. Not for me, but for the country. Because if I do a great job, that means the country is doing well.
You're building the new ballroom. We hear about this new arch you're building, the Garden of Heroes as well. You're building a lot of things that are going to cement your legacy. Are you also doing this so the country never forgets you?
No, I think we need glamour brought back to our country. We need prestige. We need beauty brought. I mean, in addition to everything else, we need.
Edit. Did you see that? By the way, there's a ton of that shit. Watch. This happens with him a bunch. Watch the weird cut.
We need prestige. We need beauty brought. I mean, in addition to everything.
Did you see that?
Wow.
A hot cut. They didn't get, because they weren't, this is how you know they weren't planning this shot. Because they would have gotten shots of him, of the reporter, to cover any of the cuts they wanted to do anyways. But they don't.
Sure.
They
do a
prestige.
smash
we
cut.
need beauty brought. I mean, in addition to everything else, we need strength. We need all of those things. Like I'm doing.
God forbid what he said. And we need water. We need Tic Tacs. Bad Tic Tacs. Like that's what they cut out, guaranteed.
Doing an arc.
We need antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea.
57.
By the way, we're building an arc, a triumphal arc.
I'm doing an arc, a triumphal. They call it a triumphal arc. 57 cities have arcs. Yeah. We're the only major important city. Washington, D.C. should have maybe the first arc. Yeah. We're doing one that will be more magnificent and larger than the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. I would say the
Arc de Triomphe. Triomphe. Thank you very much.
That's
If
how
you're
the
gonna say,
Parisians pronounce
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, or just say the Arc of Triumph if you're going to just say it in English. Just blow it off.
Paris Arc is probably the most
Stunning.
It's incredible. We're going to do one that's going to top it.
Is it true it's going to be 250 feet to mark
It'll
the
be about
anniversary?
that, yeah. It'll be
About that.
a little bit taller than the one in Paris. It'll be a little bit larger than the one in Paris.
You're doing a lot of things for the 250 anniversary.
Yeah.
What do you want Americans to feel this July 4th?
Strength,
Edit. Another edit.
The 250 anniversary.
Yeah.
What do you want Americans to feel this July 4th?
strength,
See that?
victory, security. You have a secure country. We've done so much militarily. We have a great military. I mean, you saw Venezuela. That was the people, the
That was a
general
war
that was in
crime.
charge.
Yeah.
He lived. He said he's never seen anything like it. They were all ready.
You talked about the weapon, the discombobulator. What is that?
Discombobulator.
Apparently he swallowed it.
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But what does it do?
Let me just tell you, you know what it does? None of their equipment works. That's what it does. Everything was
how does it-
it was my name. I'm very proud of the name. Everything was discombobulated. It was
Yeah. That's
You're
yeah.
not supposed to talk
Talk
about,
about it, but I gave it a
That's
nickname.
what that means.
Yeah, right.
Oh my
The-
God.
yeah.
you know, practically a shot wasn't. You know, they were ready.
Right.
And when we came,
I mean,
They couldn't do
You
anything.
saw this on the video. You could tell.
Tom, it discombobulated everything.
That's my word. I'm sticking to it.
Nothing worked, even including humans.
Well, let's
knocks
put it
the
this
humans
way:
out.
we lost no equipment in a very strong, and they're good fighters,
Yeah.
great fighters. In a very bad environment, it was a military base, the biggest in South America. Because the house was in a base in in a very, very tough environment, we lost no men and we lost no equipment.
The discombobulator just knocked everything.
Well, it did something.
It did something. Did Delcy Rodriguez work with you guys before that raid?
I can't talk about that. I mean, I don't talk
Do you
about
trust her?
Did Delcy Rodriguez discombobulate everybody by dosing them with something? So that, did he give a stand down order so that he could be in charge? So she could be in charge? Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, so far she's done a great job. I mean, so far she and all of the people that are working with her. Remember in Iraq, they got rid of everybody. They had no generals, they had no people, they had nobody to run the government. Turned out to be a mess, and that's where ISIS came from. You know, that's where ISIS came from. Came from the military and all the people. They formed ISIS. It was handled very badly, but this is handled very well.
Do you think the Cuban government will still be there? The current leadership will still be there by the end of your term?
Well, Cuba, now you're asking a different question. Cuba's in big trouble. Humanitarian aid is going to have to be
We
sent
know.
there. They're in big
Yeah, because you cut off the oil and and medicine.
It's a disaster.
They got their money from Venezuela. They got their oil from Venezuela. They turned the oil into money, et cetera, and there's none of that happening anymore.
They turned the oil into money. Again, that's just like little phrases. He's always had shit English anyways, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
What is
He
it,
does.
alchemy?
Yes, right, exactly.
They're in big trouble. We are
Do you think
talking.
that government is still there, though? Do you
We
think
are-
that government
well-
lasts?
I don't want to say that, but we are talking to Cuba.
You're talking to
You know what? Look, we have tens of thousands
hey.
of people that were forced out there here. They voted for me, 94% Cuban population, previous Cuban population. Now they're Cuban Americans. Maybe they go back. Maybe they want to go back. They're going to have that choice. But
Okay, again, the abject racism of his Cuba policy is that maybe we can get these fucking Cubans out of here. That's what that is.
Right.
These previous Cubans who are now Cuban Americans, maybe they can go back. That's what he's talking about. This is this is straight up Stephen Miller.
Yeah, and he says to Tom, he says, well, we're talking to Cuba. And Tom goes, oh, really? Literally, Marco Rubio now has to pick up the phone
Yes.
and call Cuba.
Right.
Because it wasn't happening before. He just made that shit up.
He also does the hand push, like all the body language guys are like, stop where you are, stop. If you ask me any more questions, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So stop, right? And it works. It will like this weird kind of like he's on a game show and he's buzzing in, like he does this like this kind of putting his hand on your shoulder to stop you from talking, and then this bit. He does that all the time. Even his wagging hands this way is a way of trying to get people to stop. And I told you about the whole Reagan thing, that when Reagan was going, well, like, okay, settle down. He was doing this kind of thing. He was doing it with one hand. But what he meant was, shut the fuck up, because if I lose my place, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. and
Right.
he's
Right.
doing way more of that now.
For years, they've been talking about this happening. Now it's happening.
He used to do the accordions all the time. That was the big thing, right? He would just do this, and his hands were kind of turned up. Now it's this.
Well, he also mentioned, he said it out loud. It was like a verbal cue to himself. He said, well, now you're asking a different question. It's like, of course he is. This is a new question. We all understand that.
Right.
You're just saying it out loud for yourself, so you
Yeah.
don't forget what to talk about.
Oh, yeah, because anybody else would go, well, this is that's a different circumstance, or that's a different, there's a different policy there. That's how you would say
Yeah.
it.
We are talking to Cuba. We want to open it up to those people that want to visit. Even, I think most people, when they hear they want to stay here, I hope that's true. I hope we're not going to lose them. But they're going to have options, and they're going to be able to go back, Tom, and see their loved ones, see their family, their friends.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah. He should be. As you know, they're negotiating with us.
I know they are, but the protesters have said, where are the Americans? You promised them we would have their back. Do we still have their back?
Well, we've had their back, and look, that country's a mess right now because of us. We went in, we wiped out their nuclear. If I didn't take out, we have peace in the...
I don't know where the cookie went. I
Yeah.
didn't eat the cookie. The cookie, I think a bird flew in and took the cookie out the window. That's what it always reminds me of. It's like that toddler wag where they're just their shoulders go. I didn't know the cookie. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Middle East.
Yeah.
If I didn't take out their nuclear, think of it. If we didn't take out that nuclear, we wouldn't have peace in the Middle East because the Arab countries could have never done that. They were very, very afraid of Iran.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of Iran anymore. We wiped out those beautiful B-2 bombers. One's right over there.
Yeah, he's referencing. He's got a toy on his desk.
Those beautiful little models. Those beautiful...
Yeah, we know it's not the real thing, dummy. Yes, I understand. The real ones are much bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little model.
B-2 bombers
At least
went in
twice
and
this
they
size.
hit their target, every single bomb, and obliterated it. And because of that, they were going to have a nuclear weapon within 1 month.
Yeah.
Within 1 month, they were going to have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
That was a big threat. That they're not going to have it anymore.
But
not
if you
true.
obliterate it,
Yeah, straight up lie. Just straight up lie. And you
Not
can also
true.
see this kind of jutting, shut down, and that kind of business. This is again
That's right.
a situation where he's just cyclically going back into what he's like mentioning over and over again. Like he's got his talking points, and he knows the importance of those talking points. They've had meeting after meeting after meeting, probably to drill into him what he's got to hit. Like his team is sitting around telling him these details 90 times, so they just fall out of his face whenever he starts talking. It's why there's this kind of disjointed aspect of it. And maybe when you're talking about that, that's a new question moment. I wouldn't doubt that the more media savvy in his group are going like, he's gonna set you up with one thing and then he's gonna take you someplace else. So you got to be ready to adjust. Because 60 Minutes interviews are very much like that. The way they do a 60-minute interview is that they'll hit and they edit it together so there's a flow to it later. But the beginning of it is, they start asking you about family and that kind of stuff, and then they ask you about Epstein's Island, and then they ask you about your business, and then they ask you about your boat, and then they ask you about your boat at Epstein Island, right? And that, you can get on your heels by feeling kind of friendly in this conversation, like Michael Wolff and these others do, clearly. And that's how 60 Minutes gets you. They stitch it together. That's why they call it a stitch up in England, really. They stitched it up. They edited me. They cut me together and made me look like an
That's what
asshole.
expression means?
Yeah, that's one of it's
Okay.
one of the places. But that's the idea. They stitched it up. They edited it together to make me look like an asshole. It was a stitch up. So but Trump insists on the stitch. Trump is insisting, like his people are going like, we need edits. If he wants to stop for a second and ask a question, you're leaving it out. That's off the record. So anytime somebody leans in or one of his aide goes, anytime they interrupt him, that's off the record. That gets cut out. And so we'll pick up where we were. And they're not smart enough to go, we need a reverse cut on these things. So there's a bunch of these interviews where it's a jump cut. They'll often slam cut to him. So it looks like a different shot, but it isn't. And, and I see this all the time in his interviews. I don't know. Hold on. I don't know did you see the Lutnick thing today? I was playing at the beginning. I was playing that through where
His testimony?
yes.
I saw some clips earlier.
Van
not
Hollen,
the
where
whole
he's
thing.
where Van Hollen is talking to him about like, did you go to the island? Like, how long did you know him? And he's like, we were there for an hour with my whole family and my nannies. And he brings up the nannies in particular, which is like my family, me and my wife and my family, and a friend of ours and their family. We were on a boat and we got invited there, and we decided to go. And then we were like, nah, and we left after an hour. Like, that's how you answer that. He couldn't do it. His whole thing was, I went there with my wife and my children and my nannies and another couple and their children and their nannies, and we were there for an hour, and all I saw was staff. And I was like, the infection, or but clearly he's trying to plant this thing in everybody's head that staff means older men, like butlers or gardeners, right? He just says staff. Nobody followed up. Like, how old are they? Did they look like? Are we talking about like young, sprightly girls walking around? Did you see a waitress by any chance? Like, how old were these people? But he's using that effectively as cover. Trump's whole thing right now seems to be, and I don't know if it's him or the people around him, but there's definitely a circle the wagons in this term. There's definitely, like, we're going to need all the help we can get. Like, they knew, just like I did and you did, I'm sure, during the campaign when he was, giving these speeches, and he gave us some of the more magical moments, like Ripidoot O, that one, where the
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
that one, and the old
Action replays in magnified fortune.
right, all those. Do you remember that one? You remember yeah. So
No.
oh yeah, when he tried to say Burisma, the company that Hunter worked for.
The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
Right. Yeah. And then he bails on being able to say illegal.
Free health care for illegal. Look.
I don't know what the fuck that was. I've never actually heard of an example of tongue-tied in my life, but that's what that would qualify. He also calls the Space Force, or he calls the Air Force the ass force. It's
First new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces in 75 years, Space Force. Not since the Air Force.
Not since the ass force. And he can't say Iowa.
Iowa values.
That just.
Iowa values.
Yeah. And, there were plenty of these throughout his entire campaign. Like, he was back when he was in the old, person,
woman, man, camera, TV.
Right. We all remember that classic. But do you remember?
Michigan gave us Motang.
Michigan gave us Motang. Gave us Motown. Gave us the Mustang, which he calls Motang. And and a lot of this stuff, like I said, it's like the opposite of robots. Donald Trump, this is the best you're ever going to see him. Any day, right? Any day we see him, this is the best he's ever going to be from now on.
That's right. Take a good look.
Yep. And store it. Now, I will, just hold 1 second. I'm finishing the show at here you go. Oh, there we go. At 4:30 today, because I have run off for family stuff. But I want to remind everybody, I'm going to open the link in the new tab. So we have this, and I want to open, there he is. Here's your channel. I think so. It's Adam James 6010, right? That's your 61010. Is that your handle on there?
Yeah, that's the actual handle. Yeah.
There you go. So I want everybody, if you
or excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah?
That's the
Your
channel
blog?
that my wife and I do.
Oh, okay.
We make content together about being what's known as a neuro-mixed couple. She's level 1 autistic and inattentive ADHD. I'm neurotypical. So that channel is all about that. We actually have a podcast you can see there on the screen also.
Fantastic.
But the epistemic crisis is the handle for the other one.
That's right. Let me grab that one up there, because
for any of you folks out there who are neurodivergent or whatever,
that's
or you
great.
have neurodivergent people in your life, give us a follow there.
And I don't know what your logo guy is there. That's
That's
AI.
Mike McDaniel, the
Okay.
former head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Something about his face, him in general, makes me giggle. He
Right.
cracks me up. But just that face he made right there, like it exemplified how I felt when I started the channel, because I was
Mm-hmm.
a, ex MAGA,
Mm-hmm.
fundamentalist evangelical Christian cult escapee, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And that's
Right.
what I feel. That's the face I make internally every time I hear a fundamentalist Christian MAGA talk.
Right. Well, okay. Let in the last couple of minutes, I do want to talk to you about that. Epistemic Crisis is the site. We've got the link in the chat so everybody can subscribe. And
Yeah.
I think I like the Adam Jane 6010 channel is the one you do with your wife, and we'll put that one in
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So in it, I guess you get a special perspective, and maybe that's what drove you to deal with Trump in particular, being formerly of that kind of cult world in your own mind, and then breaking free of it. Do you remember what the breaking point was?
So the funny thing about lots of MAGAs are Christian or
Mm-hmm.
Christian identifying,
Right.
even if they're not church going. 80%, 85% of the white evangelical church in America voted for Trump.
Sure.
So the reason this happens is because uh, church and state are the same for them
Mm-hmm.
in their brain. They think
Mm-hmm.
they should be the same.
Right.
So what happened was, I actually, like, one domino fell for my theology. I
Mm-hmm.
found out that there's this super popular concept in Christianity called the rapture, which
Oh
is
yeah.
when, you know,
I'm expecting
God
it any
will.
day now. There's going to be
Oh,
a puddle of clothes and I rise naked into the sky. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
right.
I don't know why we all have to
Um,
go naked, but I like the idea, so I'm not fighting it.
I mean, so I found out that that was completely made up. That the Bible does
Yeah, it's
not
not. It's not in
support.
there. Yes, right.
So I found that that wasn't true, and the main reason that could substantiate that idea is through something called hermeneutics, which is the manner in which you interpret the Bible, like the lens that you look
Mm-hmm.
at the scripture through. That determines what you believe the Bible says or does not
Sure.
say. And then I found out there is a plurality of hermeneutical approaches,
Mm-hmm.
and I had only ever been exposed to one.
Sure. Sure.
When I find out over the history of the church that belief has actually changed a hell of a lot.
Oh yeah.
When you start to learn this, you move from dogmatic acceptance of your, fundamentalist Christian upbringing to what data is there that actually supports what I believe about the scripture. So that started the untangling.
Mm-hmm.
It led to me leaving the church that I helped start. I was a
Mm-hmm.
pastor there.
Wow.
And then maybe a year or two after that, I was not attending church at all.
Mm.
And that actually began the process of being able to critically interrogate everything about right-wing authoritarian politics. Because again, American evangelical Christianity and right-wing authoritarian politics are
Oh
the
yeah.
same fucking thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're the
Yep.
same thing.
That's
So
right.
if you extract yourself from the cult environment, that on a weekly, sometimes multiple times a week, you're corporately gathered. And
Mm-hmm.
every time you gather together, you're corporately reaffirming
Mm-hmm.
all of this ideology. If you take yourself out of the environment, now you have a chance to critically interrogate it, and that's when it's going to fall apart.
That's
So
right.
that's what happened for me.
I don't know if you've had a chance to read our dear friend John Fugelsang's book, The Separation of Church and Hate, but I
Dude,
highly recommend it. Yeah.
John is a gangster, bro.
Yeah. He's great.
The appearances he does on shows are fantastic.
He and I have theological discussions that I think should be a podcast in and of themselves, because
Ooh.
I was born again when I was 11, and
Ah,
I was like, I went to church camp, growing up. We had a little white Christian church in every sense of the word in Peaksville, Kentucky.
yeah.
Went there, Sunday morning, Sunday fellowship in the evening, and
Yep.
Wednesdays
That's
forever.
right.
And then I went to church
That's
camp and
right.
all that kind of stuff. The interesting thing though is that I took from the Bible. You're talking about it like creating your own worldview through it. That
Yeah.
Jesus was an irritant to the deacons of the church, to the leaders of the church, because he knew the scriptures
Yeah.
better than they did. And so I was
Yeah.
like, well, they told me to be more like Jesus, so I'm going to get on it. And I memorized a bunch of shit that
Uh-huh.
irritated them. And I would often bring
Mhm.
this up. And one of the biggest ones, of course, is this kind of the quote unquote Judeo-Christian aspect of things, which evangelicals, while they will play nice with that concept, are fundamentally opposed to. Evangelical churches, like a lot of modern like Baptist churches, don't give out an Old Testament. They have elements of the Old Testament, but they hand out a New Testament, and that's it, because that's the new covenant, and that's how it should be going forward. And if you want to be really a purist about it, I get that. The issue that they have is that they really like that Old Testament judgment, though, man. They really love being against the gays and the women, and slavery ain't half bad, and all that kind of stuff that's in the Old Testament. So much so that they got a chip on their shoulder. Most people believe that if Jesus came back, the first people that would want him strung up would be the evangelicals, because he, he fuck with the business model. And the same thing is true. And I think the big break for a lot of people seems to be, Trump. And I guess that's what the Antichrist would do, but I don't give him that much credit, because I think the Antichrist would be a lot more charming and actually good looking, just if you read the book. But but that he doesn't know anything about it. Nothing. And he just says religion and God in the most abstract ways, because he knows he can't take a fucking question on it.
No. When they asked him what his favorite Bible verse was, he refused to answer the question because he doesn't have one. He literally has no knowledge of the scriptures whatsoever.
For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, for whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Like, you can't rip out 3:16 like that, man. All you got to just go to at a football game. Like, I could say it in my fucking sleep, right?
Yeah, it would be so easy.
It'd
be so easy. And even when they ask him, have you actually repented for your sins? He dodges that question for 5 minutes. It was breathtaking. Yes. I was like, you guys are going to vote for him, but he literally cannot answer the question, have you repented of your sin? Matter of fact, he pushed back. Yes. He was like, I don't think I have to do that. Right. Like, this guy is a fucking idiot.
Right. And that's where I think the cult break, if you really wanted to stick a crowbar in the cracks, that's singular the moment, because until you repent and accept Jesus Christ your Lord and personal Savior, and that's the process, especially in the evangelical church, that it's a very rubber stamp kind of a thing. You show up, you kind of don't give a fuck what you do. That's why Alan Watts said, the modern Christian church is the moral equivalent of a flush toilet. You just make a stinky and then it's gone. And you don't have to repent, you just have to flush. And that's effectively what you don't even have to discuss it. You don't have, like Catholics go to confession and have to hear themselves say out loud what they did wrong. That's a growth moment. There's a reason they established that, because it was the Roman government before it was a religion, and it's easier to spread when you have to do it through brains instead of knives and whatever. Anyways, so swords and fighting, right? But but in the evangelical Christian church, there is a primary belief system that if you corner any of them and you ask them, you have to accept Jesus your Lord and personal Savior, period, end of story, and you have to repent for your sins. Like, you have to recognize that you are, you're imperfect, and God is your only way. Jesus is your only way into heaven through, identifying him properly as his proper rank, and then, right? That's what it is. You got to salute Jesus, right? Or you can't get in the door, and you got to know the code word. The code word is I repent of my sins, whatever. That's like that. I've been washed in the blood of the Lamb, or whatever. Any number of hymns that go out there, right? And Trump not only hasn't done those. He won't. He's hostile to the idea. And that's probably the biggest area of, like, I don't know how you get past that as an evangelical voting for this dude. I understand the idea of an imperfect vessel. Maybe that's the sales point, that the devil's soldier can be a warrior for God by accident.
So what happened was Paula White, who was friends with Trump before he ever declared his candidacy for 16.
Oh, yeah.
Paula White was really good friends with him because they're the same kind of fucking person.
Because they're money and 100%. And awful.
And as soon as Trump declares his presidency, the evangelicals don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole, because if you're going to run as a Republican, you have got to win over the moral majority, or you're just not going to have the votes. So he calls Paula White and says, hey, can you help me? And she gets every big deal minister in her corner of the church world to meet with her and Trump at Trump Tower. And included in that group was a man named Lance Wallnau.
Oh, yeah, Lanny Walnuts. That's what I call him. He's on Flashpoint.
That's exactly right. Lance was at that meeting. And from that meeting, he started prophesying that Donald Trump is God's chaos candidate. He is a type of King Cyrus. He is not a godly man, but he's God's man.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wrote a book called God's Chaos Candidate, which sold like hotcakes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts Flashpoint, like you just mentioned, with tens of millions of
Yeah.
viewers.
Well, it's
just
on the
starting
Copeland
on
Network.
Facebook.
It's on the Copeland Network.
Exactly. Kenneth Copeland picked it
Yeah.
up. He gave it his audience because he put it on his channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden, people like John MacArthur from, LA, from
Yeah.
Grace Fellowship and the Grace to You, radio ministry, whatever, absolute piece of shit person.
Mm-hmm.
At first, he was like, no, Trump is not the guy. He's not really a Christian. Next thing we know, John MacArthur's saying, I support Trump. Like, what the fuck, brother? And the reason they did that is because, again,
because you're going to make it
they
easier to
don't
write off
care.
the second plane
Well,
and your taxes.
there's that.
Right.
There's that. But they, the fringe charismatic Pentecostals, they turned the tide for the evangelicals in America.
Mm-hmm.
Paula White's having an office at the White House,
Yep.
which is insane.
Right.
She becomes now the gatekeeper for the right-wing authoritarian Christians instead of James Dobson or Ralph Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to get Trump's ear, you got to go through Paula White Kane, which is insane. She's
Right.
an absolute trash can of a person.
Yeah.
So that's in short, that's how it happened.
Yeah. And I've covered Flashpoint on my show several times. So I've done clips from them and that kind of stuff. I like Gene the Jesus Machine and Lanny Walnuts and Skank Kuhneman, the guy who has the Oklahoma church, who is just fucking. All of them are just evil snake oil salesmen,
Evil.
not like grotesque.
And by the way, Lance Wallnau is one of the key figureheads from the cult that I escaped, known as the New Apostolic Reformation, or the NAR.
Mm-hmm.
Lance is one of the key figures in that. He was mentored by a guy named C. Peter Wagner, who literally created the term the New Apostolic Reformation. And he wrote books about it. He mentored Lance. He had Lance going all the way around the world, teaching the 7 Mountain Mandate as if it's, a fresh word from God and all that stuff. So, yeah, Lance has a PhD that comes from a school that he sits on the board of the accrediting body. So he has an honorary doctorate from a school that his own organization accredited. He calls himself Dr. Lance Wallnau, and he's absolutely full of shit. And on Twitter, just every couple of months, I reply to one of his tweets and say, hey, Lance, here, this is somebody with a real doctorate reminding you yours is fucking fake. Have a great day.
Yeah. I think I'm fairly certain I introduced my chat room to Lanny Walnuts in that crowd. I don't think they'd ever seen him, but I don't think they also understand just the power that these guys have. That's why I wanted to talk about them, because you don't
see, that's what's so smart. You're exactly right. See, that's the thing about the Pentecostal charismatic Christians. They've always been written off as nut jobs. And the truth is that they are really good at consolidating power. That's why we're here.
Yes, right. Well, and again, it's why mid-level churches all over the country are in fucking strip malls now instead of having nice halls and that kind of stuff, because they're the Walmart of church. They put all the mom and pops out of business, and people end up driving 2 fucking hours to watch videos of a preacher in fucking California or New York or Florida or wherever the fuck at these little like movie theaters, essentially, that they set up that you got to pay for. We need a lot of money to get this gospel out there. And honest to God. All right. Yes, everybody's calling me on Family Time. You're absolutely right. Thank you, guys. Joey Squints and all those guys. Oh, fuck, I hate these guys. We could talk about this forever. This is our next conversation. The next time you're on, and I'm sorry I kept you waiting, because I was my skin was crawling watching Nutlick answering his questions.
Oh, man. It's all good.
That guy, that fucking guy. And I think there's a chance he might go. There's a chance he might be the first and only to get bounced.
Good.
Because of this stuff, because it's just going to creep on, and he knows there are more emails and business contracts and shit like that that are going to come to the surface. Yeah, exactly. Now what I would like to see in the tide of this, and I don't doubt that somebody's in there, although they have their own side pool of this, is somebody in that evangelical power structure, kind of in the, but aligned with CPAC and those guys being friends with,
Yes.
because Steve Bannon's one of them, and he's all linked in with those guys as well. And I would not doubt that those guys. I mean, look at all the youth pastors that get busted for all the stuff that Epstein got busted for.
Brother.
It's
Bro,
it's
it's
a
awful.
fucking, it's an industry.
Dude,
And it's super
terrible.
fucking sad. So anyways, you're awesome. Thank you for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. And the I want, you know what, next time you come on, I'm going to have a catalog of little Trump bits from the last week. And
Please
I
do.
did tonight, but I'm gonna have them locked in, so I don't have to look for them. And I would love you to break them down, piece by piece, because
Great
there are
idea.
there are more to come. There are so many more to come. Like, this is
Yes.
the Epstein stuff. It's going to be a terrible month and a half for Trump
That's
and
right.
his ability to form a sentence. I just know
That's
it.
right.
So thank you so much, Adam. Appreciate you being on here, brother.
Yeah, man.
Everybody, like and subscribe to his channel, and I'll let you go and tell your family I said hi and all that kind of
All right.
stuff.
See you,
Be
man.
awesome. All right. Cheers. And then, ladies and gentlemen, there he goes. I have to run out the door, but thank you guys so much. Also, tomorrow will only be an hour because we have an appointment, doctor appointment thing in the morning that I have to go to. Not for me, but I'm going. And so just so you know that, so tomorrow, just a heads up, I'll have the first hour, and then we'll reschedule Phil's appearance on the show. So appreciate you guys and your support during this time, especially. And that's that. All right, I'm gonna go. I gotta rush out the door. I know. I'm late. I'm running late. It just happens. Hold on. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Yeah, this one. So appreciate you guys. See you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the Venmos, and thank you for taking care of me while all this is going on and helping me keep the show on the air and running like it should with all the other stuff that's happening. So. Means a lot.
Glows bright with a crooked smile.